It's Thursday. You know what time it is. Time for the hottest wrestling podcast on the planet. Beyond the Barricade with your host, Dollar Bill, the cleaner, and the brain. Let's get started.
All right, Brain, what have you cooked us for us this week?
Gentlemen, we all know that everybody loves a good hype man. And some are good, some aren't so good. But tonight, we got one of the best in the business. The man, the myth, the Larry Legend. Welcome aboard, brother.
Welcome.
Thank you for that introduction, and I'm glad that you called it like you've seen it and you've experienced it. Hype is what I bring to the table whenever I grip that microphone. It's not just an introduction, it's a party when I'm in the middle of that ring. And if you've been at any show, whether it be Jersey All Pro, CZW, Ring of Honor, wherever, you know that I bring that hype like no other.
Exactly, my friend. Exactly.
Yes.
All right. Man.
So yeah, thanks for having me.
We've had some guests on the show so far. We've had Magic on. A couple of times we had Magic on.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of weeks ago we had Pinky.
Mm-hmm. Pinky Sanchez showed up.
And a few weeks we're going to have a couple of our referee friends on.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, well, I'm very much familiar with Mr. Magic and Pinky, El Gran Sanchez. I'm familiar with both of them, so I'm glad to be in that company.
Yeah.
And we're glad that you accepted the invitation, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. Yeah.
Hey,
so
okay.
I got to ask you a question.
Sure.
What got you started to be a ring announcer?
Well, I guess I can trace it back to when I was playing with my toys, my Hasbro figures. And of course, like when I was fighting with Skinner and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, I wouldn't I wouldn't just bang them together. I would be Gorilla Monsoon, calling the matches like, and always going to the top, with my figures. So I guess really, honestly, it was when I was like 11, 12 that I would really try to like imitate the things Bobby Heenan or Gorilla Monsoon and also the introduction of them to the ring, because the Hasbro figures, they had the card that you could cut out of the back of the placard, and it would say, from the Department of Correction in Cobb County, Georgia, weighing 330 pounds, the big boss man. So I could do like my little Howard Finkel imitation right there in my room with my ring and my figures. So I guess that's really like, if I trace the origin story of what got me into, being like not just involved in wrestling, but as an announcer, as a voice, it was probably like playing with my figures. And another influence that I had, and I've said this on a couple different podcasts, announcers on like game shows, and like in particular the announcer for the Arsenio Hall show, like I'm an 80s baby, so around like 90, 91, if my grandma let me stay up long enough, I would watch the beginning of the Arsenio Hall show. And I can remember distinctly when I was like, however old I was at that age, like trying to like hold out, Arsenio. I would try to like, as that announcer would do it on TV, I'd try to do it as long as he would do it, So just thinking about my upbringing and just being into voices and what an announcer brings to like making it all that more hype, all that more exciting, I guess I can really trace it back to like just playing with my figures.
Nice.
That's cool.
That's a great origin story.
Yeah, well, in a small way, that's when I first kind of like played with a voice, or like, I didn't know what I was doing, but in a lot of ways that probably was the foundation of what, what I do now.
Yeah, you just did it.
Larry, you made a very telling comment when you started that part about the announcers on a game show.
Well, yeah, in a lot of ways. Also, and the guy who does Jeopardy, who's still alive, thank God. The announcer, I forget what his name is, Merv, I think it is, or something. He's a voice that is so tied with that show because he really, besides the as a matter of fact, I think before the theme even starts, you hear this is Jeopardy.
Yep.
Like
You
it's entwined. It's entwined with that. And the same with like a game show that I'm quite familiar with, The Price is Right.
I'm about to say,
like
I'm gonna say that one.
yeah, come on down. That's something that we all know. Even like when you go to Vegas and you're walking through the casino and there's like a Price is Right.
Yeah.
It keeps on playing over and over again. Come on down, like, and I don't know if that's the announcer or a reasonable facsimile, but again, that hype, that voice, that signature sound to let you know, oh, this is my show and something's happening, that's something that is entwined, and when done right, it's like you then feel the void when that announcer like passes away, unfortunately, or like Lillian eventually left, and I don't really think we gave Justin Roberts that. I think he was kind of like with her, but once she was gone and it was just him, it was kind of like, oh, I miss Lillian. I really kind of had gotten used to her sound, her intros,
Yeah.
So it's really kind of critical that you nail it, but it's also a fleeting thing because no announcer lasts forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you said, you're very familiar with The Price is Right.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I believe I have something to show. Ready, Bill?
Got it.
How about that? Stand right here, buddy. Where you from?
Baltimore, Maryland, but I live currently in the Bronx, New York.
Baltimore to the Bronx. Move up, maybe.
Yeah.
And what do you do in the Bronx?
I part-time retail and moonlight as a professional wrestling ring announcer.
Really?
Yeah.
Give me some of your ring announcing rap that you could do.
Well, I'll only do it with George's permission.
George, can you do a little wrestling announcing?
We don't need another announcer in this room.
There you go. Maybe later. We'll see.
A little professional jealousy there.
So let's say George and I were wrestling. Give us a little play-by-play.
Fighting out of the blue corner, weighing in at 123 pounds, ladies and gentlemen, the announcer of The Price is Right, George!
Great.
I forgot his name. In real life, I forgot his name.
I am totally famous.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That
was great.
I've got something to reveal. Since you showed that, you're one of the first interviews that I've done where they've shown it. Where Drew Carey is like laughing and holding the wall. Was when he returned to the stage because he laughed so hard he left the stage. And the laughter went on for what felt like an eternity. Y'all, I felt like I was just standing there on stage and everyone was laughing at me that I forgot George Gray's name. Drew left the stage, laughed so hard, then comes back on the stage, is still laughing, and that's where it resumed for television when you actually saw that episode. But it was an enormous amount of time that I cracked everybody up there in the Bob Barker studio just forgetting George Gray's name.
the magic of editing, of good editing.
Yeah, because it was a long, extended, like kind of like ha from everybody that this guy just got up there and he nailed the first part, a real big rousing bellowing George, but then it's like, who's this guy again? Like at the last minute, like, like
exactly.
I know nothing. Kinda, sorta. In the terms of pro wrestling, it's like I don't even know who this guy is. Like,
yeah. There's some guys we've gone to shows watched. It's just insanely like, who the hell is this? And just the excitement you bring out when you announce these guys makes me actually want to watch them.
Well, I gotta tell you, that's done me just as much favors as it's kind of actually been to my detriment. Because a lot of the times when I'm new to a company, and I'm not talking about when I'm established, and I'm pretty much established all over now, but when I'm new to a company, there's been some people that have kind of felt that like the way that I am kind of distracts from the wrestlers. Like that, if you've never seen me come out, a lot of the times when I come out, the crowd is chanting Larry, 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 and they're like cheering me on to do what it is that I do. Well, there's some who have a school of thought that like the announcers should kind of like fade into the background.
Oh yeah.
They shouldn't be like a character that the fans have an emotional attachment to. They're essentially just the narrator. There's some people who feel like an announcer can just be in a voice backstage, and there are some companies that do that. I believe Impact does that right now. There's no in the ring announcer for Impact. You just hear a voice over the loudspeaker. I think it might be not Josh Matthews, but Gresham.
Speaking about that, ironically, I was at their show yesterday. It's a woman, and she was sitting ringside. So she wasn't actually in the back, but she was ringside, sitting there with the guy from New Japan, because it was a cross promotion show.
Oh yeah.
Well, that might be a reason that she was there.
Yeah,
Maybe pull out the big guns for the cross promotional thing. But to my knowledge, there's no Mike Rome, Justin Roberts. There's no guy that is like in the Impact ring announcer, and that's because that is some people's feeling. And in particular, like I always get this question about like, well, why are you not on TV? You're like one of the best in the business. Why are you not on TV? And I think it's that I'm just a little too much sauce, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm a little too much sauce. And what they want is kind of like vanilla. And that's not to really I think the person that has the most flavor in the game right now is Samantha Irvine, and I love what they allow her to do. I love the embellishment that she's allowed to have with the names and her style. But the announcers really just kind of like they don't really want them that much out there, and I go by Larry Legend, so that means that I'm throwing myself all the way out there in my name alone. So yeah,
That's amazing.
You said something that when you're new to a company and people aren't sure how to take you. I'm going to be completely honest with you. When you first came to Jersey All Pro, I didn't know what the hell to make of you. What the hell is this guy doing?
You know what? Go ahead.
I fell in love with your style, bro.
So what prepped me for Jersey All Pro, because I remember my early days in Jersey All Pro, and it was an unfriendly kind of reception. But two things helped me with Jersey All Pro. One, getting into CZW, and that's the South Philly crowd. So they were the worst.
Yes.
Okay.
Still are.
So
Still.
Right. So kind of winning them over, and then also doing the PWS shows, because the PWS shows were in Rawway. So it was a lot of the same fans. So even though the hardcore Jersey All Pro people were like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Pardon my sorry about that. But
don't worry about it. This is NSFK.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, a lot of the PWS crowd knew me, and they were like, it's the PWS guy. He's here too. So yeah, those two things prepped me, and just like a lot of people, by the time my time with Jersey All Pro had come to an end, which was I think the end of Jersey All Pro. I think I stayed with them all the way until they stopped running. Which is
you did.
And that really to me is a feather in the cap, because Jersey All Pro was one of the heavy hitters of the time of Ring of Honor, CZW, the 20-year companies in the game, MCW, all of those companies that kind of came from the Attitude era during when people were like, I got to do this, we got to do it on our own, and kind of a revolution. So for me to kind of get there at the very tail end of it, it's like a real feather in my cap that I made it for a little bit of time in Jersey All Pro and got some amazing matches. I like some of the matches I got. Samoa Joe versus Chris Hero, Matt Sydal versus AJ Styles.
Ooh.
Like I got matches that were like mind blowing when you think of it. In today's climate.
I got a good one that you called out.
What's that?
Low-Key versus Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio Jr., bro. Dude. I remember one time someone kind of low-key tried to play me. Like it was a situation where I was like, oh yeah, I would have done that intro like this. And the person, like, then Rey Mysterio came out and they were like, well, how would you have announced him? And I was like, I already have. And they were like, oh, I know, but do it right now. Show me how you do it. And it's kind of like one of those things where they were like challenging me to perform on the spot, which I don't do because I'm not a fucking monkey that you could just be like, hey, do the announcing, I'm not that. But I remember I was like, here, let me show you. And CZW Studios had absorbed a lot of Jersey All Pro's library, and I was able to pull the fucking intro right up there on the screen. And I was like, so there, now you can hear how I would do it because I've already done it. And if you weren't paying attention, I announced him as Rey Mysterio Jr. because I never forgot who he was, okay? WWE likes to do a lot of their own retcon and like just call, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to me,
I hate that.
I hate it too. He will always be Rey Mysterio Jr. to me. And when the one time that I got to announce him, which was just beyond a blessing. Like, I can't even call it an honor, a blessing to fucking be able to do that. I announced him as Rey Mysterio Jr. And that was all due to Jersey All Pro. Just an amazing company for me to be able to say, I got a little slice of time in.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
I was their medic for the last 2 years of the company.
Yep.
Whether officially or unofficially, I ended up as their medic for the last 2 years of the company.
You were
I
there.
got to an assistant autograph table and sat ringside. So
I missed out.
No matter when it was always Jersey All Pro. The best way that I can describe it is hot. The building was always hot. I don't care if it was December.
Every building.
I don't care if I don't care if it was December. I don't care if it was spring. It was always burning hot in the building. And that kind of like became par the course. I was always sweating Crisco anytime I did a Jersey All Pro show, no matter what, in a 3-piece tuxedo or whatnot, you know?
Any
yeah.
building.
Heck
I bet
yeah.
that's sweating Crisco. Goodness gracious.
Oh yeah. That's an old Jerry Lawler line. Jerry Lawler said that about Ahmed Johnson. He said about Ahmed Johnson.
I remember
He
that
said,
line.
Oh god, that's going.
He's like, look at him over there. Ahmed looks like he's sweating Crisco.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna ask you: what was your first match you ever announced? I don't know, but what was your first match you ever announced?
So as a pro, even though I wasn't paid for the first announcing gig I got, as a pro. The first match I did was December 4th, 2002. And I can even tell you who the participants were. It was Lightning Mike Quackenbush versus Blind Rage.
Oh God, I remember that. I remember Blind Rage.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was my first match that I ever announced as a pro for MCW. It was at the time it was called Maryland Championship Wrestling. It's now just called MCW Pro. And after I welcomed everybody, got a little heel heat because I was the new announcer. I was taking over for the old announcer. So I got a little heel heat. I was like, you guys might not like me, but I look out here in this crowd, I don't like any of you either. So let's get through this. I was like, let's get through this as quickly and quietly as possible, because I don't want to be around any of you people any longer than you want to be around me. And it's all, and it's like, oh, this guy's fucking with us. We're gonna fuck with him the whole show,
Yeah.
So
Of course, that's wrestling fans.
Indeed. And that was December 4th, 2002.
Wow, good stuff.
Yeah.
Man.
I took the leap of faith and got involved after 9/11. I always like to shout this out.
Yeah.
I was undergrad at NYU in the fall of 99. And by the spring of 01, I'd run out of money. So I had to drop out. I had to drop out. But I was scheduled to go back to New York and start my third year of NYU in the fall of 01. and we all know what happened. And it was just like wanting to be up there with a lot of the people that had become almost like family to me, and not being up there really just lit a fire under my ass to seize the day. And if there was anything that was in your heart to do not let a day go by where you maybe might lose your life going to work and you're thinking to yourself, God, I wish I would have fucking tried wrestling in your last couple moments when you got to make a decision to jump, or make a decision to end it all. I said, I don't want anything to be in my mind like, but I really wanted to do that. And that's really what made me, pursue it, is seeing all those people lose their lives right on my TV in the place that I kind of called a home for the past 2 years. It was just harrowing. And I'm talking to you all about my career to this day because of it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing this pretty much, because I don't want to live more regrets. So that's why I like doing podcasts and streams. I like doing this.
Exactly. It's like, you have a little bit of time. You have a little slice of time on this earth, and you can leave a legacy. That's what really kind of makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. What is your legacy going to be? Are people going to talk about you? Are they going to talk about the things that you accomplished and you done in your little bit of time and the impact that it made on you? And I think I'm doing a pretty good job. I'm not going to say I'm going to go down in history with like the likes of George Washington and stuff like that, but I'm carving a little something out for myself and for fans of wrestling to relish, hopefully forever. The other companies won't retcon like WWE has and change, so it's just a voice playing over the loudspeaker, but they'll have me, doing a Chris Hero versus Samoa Joe and in a Jersey All Pro recap show or whatnot.
Speaking, this has been on my mind for a while. So, speaking about voices over an intercom and New York, I'm not sure if you remember this. I've been trying to find the video, but I can't, which unfortunately sucks. So, when you were with Ring of Honor, I'm not sure if you remember doing some of these, but before the show, you would take I don't know whose phone it was, but you would record a video for like a special pre-show. And the show I'm talking about is War of the Worlds 2017 at the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Okay, yeah, I remember
it. Do you remember interview going on?
Sure.
And especially a couple of fans that dropped a couple of naughty language.
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
That was my friends, and I didn't realize until after, and I felt so bad. I did not want to get you heat.
No. That's what they wanted. And I don't know what's going on with Ring of Honor since the acquisition by AEW or whoever that parent company is.
Mm-hmm.
But I was given the keys to Ring of Honor's official Facebook. Okay. So those were Facebook live streams. And if all that stuff hasn't been wiped, or
it might have been.
It may have been, or Sinclair may have been like, hey, we own this property, so if y'all want it, you can buy it. And Tony Khan was like, well, I don't care about it. But all that stuff was streamed live on Facebook. And that is also kind of part of my legacy that, ironically, you bring it up, might have actually been, just like we said, retcon, because it's no longer Sinclair Broadcast Group that's paying for all of that stuff to happen. So but yeah, I definitely remember that, and those were like, that was like towards the end of my time with Ring of Honor, and I kind of felt like they were just trying to find things for me to do. They were just trying to like find things for me to do, so that no one would be like, well, why isn't Larry like announcing the pre-show? Or why isn't Larry like commentating with Ian Riccaboni? Like, why isn't? So it's like, oh yeah, do the Facebook Live. Oh yeah. As people are coming in, tell them about the autograph signing downstairs. Oh yeah. Taylor Hendricks doesn't have anything to do. You and her walk around the ring and talk to people about what it means to be here. You know what I mean? Like
I was going to talk about that too, because that's one thing I exactly remember too.
And I bring her up because I felt like at that moment, I was like, Taylor really doesn't have anything to do. And in theory, I'm being paid but I don't really have a role here. Like, it kind of put into perspective, like, where I was in the, like, pecking order or echelon of, like, playable characters. I was like category, like, oh yeah, and bring Taylor out. Oh yeah, and put her with Larry. All right, that's done. Let's get on to the show. You know, it's like kind of like fodder, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, fodder. Fodder for the show is like, oh, and there's Larry in the suit and Taylor Hendricks. We know her. Oh yeah, the show's about to start, you know, but not really part of the show. You know, so yeah.
The only other thing I remember you doing was you would live stream, I think, like some of the events like during the show, like from ringside. And the one that I always remember is when seeing you and like seeing the video of when the Hardys did that surprise appearance at Manhattan Mayhem on the Bucks.
Yeah, I don't know if I was supposed to do that one.
Because I do remember, because it was right after the Bucks beat Leo Rush and Jay White.
Okay,
and I remember.
Okay. Sometimes, and you got to remember, a lot would be going on during these shows.
Yeah.
Sometimes the Young Bucks themselves would like ask me to get footage on their camera. Now I know that I personally capture that footage as well. Okay. Yes. So I'm not sure if I got that for the Bucks and then like got a copy for myself. I don't really remember that one, but there would be times, because people knew that I would be kind of at ringside grabbing footage, that I got stuff for them, but I don't know how because that's up on my YouTube. Like that whole match, that whole match was unlisted for years, and I just put it up after they were bought by AEW. Like nobody can come for me, you know. And I filmed it on my phone. I think. I really don't remember. I don't remember. But yeah, that was an awesome moment that I was glad that I was at ringside and able to capture.
Yeah, no, that was a crazy moment.
Wow.
Yeah, Leo Rush and Jay White had just gotten beaten by the Young Bucks, and then the expedition for gold commenced. That's what it was. The expedition for gold.
Expedition.
Yes.
I remember they had just been released from TNA that week, and I said to myself, they're gonna show up at Manhattan Mayhem. But I'm not sure. But they might do it. And they did it. And I was freaking out. The biggest Young Bucks fan, but I was still freaking out.
You know, that was probably one of the biggest pops that I had ever been in a building live for when the lights came up. Because you remember how they did it? Leo and Jay White got beat, and they're on the outside rolling away. The lights go out, and then they get into the ring. And I think when they got into the ring, you could start to see flashes going off, so people kind of knew who it was. But then once the lights went up, it was just like an immense roar that just is like you had to be there to experience. And again, I don't know how I ended up down there filming. I'm gonna say I was given permission because I would get yelled at. I would get yelled at if I did not say, "Oh, Matt, you know, the Bucks told me to get this for their thing," or someone told me to do this, because you know there were a lot of camera guys down there, and it's not like I could really just insinuate myself in the action. But I got that whole fucking match, and it's great. You know,
because I think that was before they started doing like Honor Club and started like streaming every single show live. So that was still like a house show that was going to be aired a couple weeks down the line.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, and I remember the lights going down and seeing all the flashes and seeing them the Hardys right as they hit the ring, and I'm like, oh, it's about to happen. I wasn't expecting that match right then and there.
Hell yeah. That was awesome. That was an awesome moment for me to experience. And then like 2 months later or a month later, they were coming out at Mania.
Yeah.
Do you remember how that went? It was like, this is like, it was wild. It was wild.
Yeah, because I remember them saying like, "Oh, we're not going to WWE. We're not going to WWE," and then they show up, and then
And
reading
win
in
the
an
tag
interview
fight.
later,
Win the tag belts.
yeah, and reading in an interview later, they were just like, "Oh, we just did that for as a cover to like try to like make like throw everybody off the scent of WWE."
Because
Well,
people
you
love
remember
trying to guess.
I remember the night before at Supercard of Honor, they fought the
Yeah.
Young Bucks in a ladder match.
Yeah, a crazy. So they were in 2 ladder matches back to back. That's still insane to me.
It's amazing that they both are a little worse for wear in these days.
Oh, yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're both beat up.
Yeah, they are.
Oh,
Yeah.
They're still going. Jeff is
yeah.
still taking those crazy bumps.
I mean, that movie, The Wrestler, which I'm
Mhm.
also featured in, is like one of the realest movies of all because like wrestlers kind of do it till they die. I'm sorry. That's what makes wrestling one of the most realist professions of them all. Once you're in, it's like the mob. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
you're not
yeah.
going anywhere
Yep.
till you're out.
That and EMS. Once you're
I've
in, you're
heard.
in. You
I've
can't get out
heard.
because you don't know too much
Right.
and you've seen too
Right.
much.
Right. Yep.
I'm in EMS going on 25 years. This April it'll be 25 years that I've been a member of the ambulance corps in Hoboken. April 1st, as a matter of fact.
Wow. Hell of a day.
Hell.
Yeah. April 1st, 1999 was when I was accepted as a member of the Hoboken Ambulance Corps. I rode my first shift 2 days later. It was a midnight shift, Saturday night into Sunday morning.
Oh
And
God.
my very first call was a cardiac arrest. My partners looked at me and said, "You are a motherfucking black cloud." There are 2 types of people in emergency services. You got the white clouds and you got the black clouds. White clouds, pretty much nothing crazy will happen. Black clouds brings all the insanity. And in 24 years, I have seen plenty of insanity.
Mhm.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
But, and you're going to laugh at this, I've worked Bayonne, I've worked Hoboken, I've worked Union City, I worked Jersey City, not for medical center, but I worked for private companies in Jersey City who backed up
Okay.
the medical center.
Oh.
And in 24 years as an EMT, I have never, ever had a gunshot wound.
Wow. Jersey City, no gunshot wounds?
I know,
Nope.
right?
That's
Just-
incredible.
It's just,
Yeah.
I've been on duty in Hoboken, and we've had 2 crews on, and I was on a call, and the next call comes in for a gunshot wound in the projects.
Oh God.
I'm like, and I'm dealing with somebody who's drunk on the street in front of a bar.
Especially on a Saturday night. Yeah.
Yep,
Open.
and exactly, it was a Saturday. It was a Saturday into Sunday midnight shift.
Yep.
So, but I think
Yeah.
the craziest thing I have ever seen was a call in Union City
Oh God.
where a guy, he had been beating on his wife. The brother-in-law found out about it, showed up to this guy's job.
Uh-oh.
We're losing the cleaner.
Sorry.
And slashed this guy across the chest with a machete.
Oh God.
That's when you said Union City. I kind of figured. I know that crowd over there.
Cut this guy wide open. We wrapped him up like a mummy.
Mm-hmm.
Called for North Star. Then St. Vincent's was still open,
Right.
but we couldn't get there because there was an accident in the Lincoln Tunnel.
Oh my
We're
God.
at 43rd and Park Avenue in Union City / Weehawken.
I know what that is.
Mhm.
And it's 3:30 in the afternoon, and schools are getting out.
Oh my God.
Oh
So
no.
you know getting to the medical center is going to take us forever.
Yeah.
We called North Star. We drove down to the Weehawken baseball stadium,
Mm-hmm.
which is sitting on top of the Lincoln Tunnel.
Yeah. I know you're doing.
I got out of the truck, opened the gate, and drove onto the field. Had the umpire running towards me. "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "Clear the field. We got a helicopter coming in." He's like, "What helicopter?" And just as I said that, that one.
Right. Right.
But 24 years as an EMT, I've seen just about everything except had a gunshot wound.
That's amazing. That's kind of unbelievable.
Yeah. But you know what? Sometimes it happens that way. I'm sure there are people I know people who've never had a cardiac arrest.
Good. Such a good blessings for them.
I don't know if you guys heard that. My sister-in-law has just passed through the room, and she said she's had them. She's had both cardiac arrest and gunshot wounds, sometimes at the same time. But
So I got a question for you.
go ahead, Cleaner.
What is it?
I wanted to ask, thinking about, all the moments that we had at the Hammerstein Ballroom, was there ever like a venue or somebody you worked with where it made you feel like, damn, this is really happening?
Yeah. Madison Square Garden and Michael Buffer.
Really?
Yep.
Whoa.
Was this a UFC fight? Or not UFC, boxing?
Yeah, it was Triple G, Glavoikin, Gennady GGG. It was a boxing. It was a boxing. Listen, it was the one boxing show I've ever done in my entire life. I've done MMA, I've done Muay Thai, I've done kickboxing, I've done BJJ, I've done them all. I've done one boxing show in my entire life, and it was the undercard for a Triple G boxing match. Hold on, I think I got the lanyard that they give you to get in there, but they asked me to do the undercard. The undercard. Here it is. You can see this.
Wow, that's insane.
Golovkin versus Giao.
And that was July 26, 2014. I had just gotten started with Ring of Honor. And the craziest thing about this, and nobody knew this at the time, because I kind of kept all of my kickboxing and boxing. I didn't like to let the Ring of Honor people know that I was doing that. The craziest part about this show right here is the next day, I was in the Denton, Delaware Fire Department doing the first Future of Honor show, a show featuring Moose, Stokely Hathaway, Ian Riccaboni was timekeeper. This was like a show for all of the people that kind of wanted to try out. Well, actually, what it was they used to do these Ring of Honor seminars. And if you signed up for the seminar and you impressed, then they were going to have an offshoot of Ring of Honor called Future of Honor, where people who had gone through the seminars and impressed made it on these shows. And this was the first of these shows. It was the day after I did the undercard in Madison Square Garden. So to compare and contrast the life of Larry, one night I'm in Madison Square Garden riding the elevator with Donald Trump and Melania. And the next night or afternoon, I'm in Denton, Delaware at a volunteer fire department announcing, Mandy Leone versus Hyena the Huntress. What is life, dude? What is life?
That is life.
Wow.
Wow. That is wow. And I know Denton too.
I remember those Future of Honor shows because they sometimes would air like a Future of Honor match on YouTube. And I would watch.
Yeah, Mike Orlando, Sonny Kiss.
Yes, and a lot of those
great
matches.
match. I saw that match.
Guys. Future of Honor was a great idea.
It was,
and it almost made it. It almost made it, but then what honestly happened, and I wasn't at the table for this, but Women of Honor kind of started to be like, hey, wait a minute. We have a long, lush history of women's wrestling along with the honor, the code of honor. Let's pump our brakes on this and start to focus on that. And then before you knew it, there was nothing. It was gone,
Yeah.
So, but Future of Honor, the first Future of Honor show was the day after I performed in Madison Square Garden. So yeah, that venue, and it's a true story. I rode the elevator that night with Donald Trump and Melania and his bodyguard. The reason that I rode the elevator was because in the wrestling business, you're used to doing the gig and like waiting around for your envelope or like waiting around for whatever, your PayPal in this day and age. So like this was my first time in the Garden, and I didn't know a goddamn thing. I saw Billy Caputo, rest in peace, Billy, and he was real cool to me, like kind of like making it be like, I was waiting for you to get in here with me, kind of like that, kind of like, and I'm like, yeah, I made it, Billy. I was thinking that I had to wait around at the end for my money. And like someone kind of smartened me up and they were like, oh no, you're not getting paid tonight. And I'm like, what? I'm not? And they're like, no, you got to get like processed. You got to like fill out a W-9 and like, you got to go, you got to go through the payroll. It's going to take like, they were like, it's going to take like 6 to 8 weeks for you to get paid. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, wow. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll go home. And they're like, yeah. And they were like, go out the service elevator, don't go, all the people are, do you know what I mean? They're like, go out the service elevator. All the people are leaving right now. You don't want to get caught up with them. And as I'm walking to the service elevator, all of a sudden a big hulking guy starts walking towards me. And I notice there's another guy behind him and a woman. And I'm like, holy shit, that's Donald Trump. And we both started walking towards the same elevator. The door opens, the bodyguard lets Donald Trump and Melania on, and then I get my fucking black ass right on there with them. And I'm like standing there. I've got like my garment bag like on my on my arm, and I was still in my tuxedo because I was like, I wanna like look like I belong. And when you're in a tuxedo, you pretty much can walk anywhere. I could do whatever I wanted. I could do whatever I wanted in a tuxedo. So like I just had my garment bag on my arm and I was in my tuxedo and we're riding down and Donald Trump looks at the bodyguard and he goes, it's a good night of fights, right? It's a good night of fights. And the bodyguard's like, oh yes, sir, yes, good night of fights. And like I got the impression that he wanted me to also chime in and be like, oh yes, sir, Mr. Trump, it was a great night of fights. like I'm so honored that you're speaking in the elevator with me. But I was just like, play it cool. He's just a regular guy. He just happens to have a lot of money. And then we got off the elevator. He walked directly to a limo that was like waiting there with the door open. And I got it. I walked to the number 6 train and took the train up to like. No. I had a rental. I had a rental that night. I had my rental parked across the street in 34th Street garage. Went to go get my rental and head down to Delaware for Ring of Honor the next day.
Wow. That's an insane 24 hours.
Heck yeah, man. And but I was riding high. I was like, I've worked very hard. This is all, and this is all post my Price is Right win. So in a lot of ways, I'm feeling like, yeah, momentum is going. People know my name. I'm in the Garden. I'm riding with Donald Trump. I'm doing Ring of Honor. I'm doing, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, this is what it's supposed to go, but all the good things come to an end, and eventually my time with Ring of Honor came to an end. And actually, I really haven't done as much kickboxing and boxing and MMA ever since COVID. COVID kind of halted a lot of those promotions from running, and in halting them from running, it also halted their capital. So I think a lot of like local announcers kind of slid into a lot of the companies that I used to travel from Baltimore to do, and they were fine with giving me money from traveling from Baltimore because I was just that good. After COVID and after a lot of these companies kind of had to reassess and refigure their budget, they're going for the bargain, There's a guy that lives in Brooklyn. He's got a suit. He's got a good voice. Put him out there. We're going to be paying him half what we would be paying Larry. So But I still got air in these lungs, and I'm still doing what I do weekly for pro wrestling. So maybe as things get more revved up with MMA and kickboxing, although I kind of feel that MMA and kickboxing is kind of peaked. I feel like I know that there's an audience, but I feel like it's kind of like oversaturated almost. All combat sports are just like all over the place to the point that they've kind of lost their luster.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
Because UFC has a show every week, and I say to myself, like, it's not the same, because I was always looking forward to those monthly pay-per-views, but now they got a show every week. It's like, yeah, what's the point? Like, it's not the same.
Where they at? Like UFC 3,600?
Close.
It's up there. It's like 429 or something, or 476.
I thought it was like 3 something, maybe 280, because I know
It's a
they
lot.
had. Yeah, they had a show in Newark a couple months ago, and I went to a game, a hockey game, literally the next day.
Yeah,
And
but not even like UFC. Like I have like the regular TV, like the over-the-air converter box, and like some nights I'll be in the kitchen and I'll just be like flipping on that to see what's on. And like when you get to the high channels, like some of the channels that Ring of Honor would be broadcast on, you'll see like American Fight League, or like, like just like caged fighting, like nothing pro, and it'll just be a bunch of fights. And I'm like, wow, this is just like everywhere now. Like, you know, and it's like nobody has to go out of their way to see it. It's just like all at your fingertips all of the time.
yeah, there's a lot of those smaller promotions. Like there's one channel I always watch. It's called Fight, and that pretty much airs like old Ring of Honor, like before Sinclair Ring of Honor.
Oh, HDNet.
Yes, HDNet.
Nice.
Impact. So all sorts of Impact, like TNA.
Is that like a Roku channel or?
It's on. So I think you can get it on Roku, but I have it with Cablevision.
All right. Yeah, cable's expensive these days, bro.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I remember in New York, it used to kill me on rent. And my favorite thing was when I got the Wii, because I could at least just like hijack my neighbor's Wi-Fi and watch Netflix. Because we had the Netflix and the YouTube plug that we, so.
But yeah, no, they always air those. Like, they'll have sometimes like Indian MMA and like Russian MMA, and I'm like,
yeah, it's out there and it's prevalent, and it's I don't know how good of a thing that is though. I don't know how good of a thing that is.
I think it's a little too much, because like the cleaner says, and like you said, it's everywhere, and you don't have to go anywhere to see it anymore.
No, right. You just stay at home, just pick an event, boop, 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 and you got something. That's like,
and it's not like pro wrestling where there's an entertainment value, and there's sort of like a joy of being there live. There's an experience, a different experience from TV to live pro wrestling.
Yeah,
you don't see that in combat sports.
Yeah,
not too much. No, I mean some of the guys tell me that, but I don't believe it, because it's just like you're just seeing fights, and this is from somebody who doesn't watch a lot of combat sports, but just based upon experience from what friends tell me and from what I've even seen from some of the pay-per-views, it's like, it doesn't feel as exciting as like going to wrestling, to be honest.
It's like,
that's just me.
Well, wrestling to me is like more of the blueprint of like a play.
Yeah.
Because like a play is going to take you like here at the beginning of the play, here at the middle of the play, here at the intermission. Then you're going to come back and you're going to kind of be here a little bit more. And you're going to keep like doing this like progression of like, I'm getting to this big finale, know? And wrestling has always been able to like be a hit with kids, because they can follow the kind of like, oh, here comes my other favorite, and I'm almost all screamed out, but here comes my other favorite, like a roller coaster, It's like, and that's that entertainment factor that I think you're nailing there. It's like, with the combat sports, there's some technique, and some people are really into the technique of BJJ and fighting styles and that, but sometimes those things are very just like the guys are just hugging each other, and I'm like, okay. Like, a few headbutts, and then they get up, and then they're right back down on the floor, and it's like, it's like.
Yeah. And also in a way also with like combat sports, if you took a couple matches from say like the lower card and the mid card, sometimes it's like you're trying to figure out what exactly makes it so unique and special. It just seems like the same thing.
And when you know about the inner workings of these shows, like a lot of the times The undercard guys are like doing it to get to pro level. Like they're not even really out there to win. They like have to get to like a level where they have X amount of bouts and then they're up to they've upgraded themselves once they can show. So it's like they're not even, I don't want to say they're not trying to fight as hard, but they're like, I'm like doing this to like get to the next level, and then when I get to that next level, that's when I'm going to crack skulls, and that's when I'm going to make it to TV and become a superstar. But you know, they're cautiously engaging, almost like sparring. A lot of the times, those under fights are, because they know that this is the low purse or no purse fight. You know, and I want to save myself and gain a reputation. It's more about the interview at the end, you know, and really like capturing the media attention for like how, you know, how you got your gift of gab and stuff. You know how it goes, you know.
The hype.
Speaking of the gift of gab, Larry.
Yes.
Who are some of your favorite announcers of all time? Ring announcers.
Definitely Michael Buffer. To just bring it right back home to meeting him. Howard Finkel, Bob Artiste. Stephen DeAngelis, even though I know that he and I kind of clashed a little bit during my arrival. I more or less replaced him in the old ICW in 2010. So we kind of got off to a rocky start. But Stephen DeAngelis has always been one of my favorite announcers because he brings the hype. Who else? Lillian. I like Lillian. I love Lillian. I love Lillian's growth. I love when you listen to what Lillian sounded like when she first became the announcer, and how like timid and weak she kind of sounded, because she was figuring it out, to like just her owning it by the end, just diva owning it by the end, you know. So Lillian's one of my favorites. I think I already mentioned the Fink, Gary Michael Capetta.
Capetta. I like Capetta.
Joel Gertner. Like don't sleep on the fact that like even though he was like making us laugh a lot, he still was doing the announcing, the holding of the attention, the pronunciation and the dictation and the not messing up to land those laughs. So Gertner's definitely one of my favorites. I mean, contemporary, I'm a real big fan of David Adams. David Adams is a good friend of mine to this day.
David's good. David's really good.
Yeah. David to me, and I said this to one of his Instagram posts, I was like, dude, you are like the quintessential like Bellator announcer. Like your style is very like professional fighting style, not pro wrestling, but you have a very like pro fighting style voice. And I said to him, you probably are exactly what like a Bellator or one of these kind of like on the way to UFC is looking for. So, you know, I love David, and I love the way that he does it. And I wish that I got to see him more often, but you know, he kind of has his territory, if you will, and I kind of have my territory, if you will, and our paths really don't cross. But David Adams is one of my favorites. You know, like I anybody who does it well. I like Shane Fair. Shane Fair's been
the
really
white glove treatment.
Indeed, he's been putting his fingers all up in it, if you know what I mean, for a little while. So, yeah, I like Shane.
Funny story with Shane.
What's
I got
that?
a funny story with Shane.
Let's hear it.
He was at Calm Before the Storm at Marist, and he got a picture of Moff and Mac standing in the corner of the ring, yelling at Low Key and Homicide and Jaka as they were going back to the locker room. He got Mac to sign the picture when he got it printed out at another show. He came to the 20th anniversary show at Broadway, and he had the picture. And I'm just walking around ringside talking to some of my friends in front row. As a matter of fact, my entire crew took up an entire row.
Nice.
Cleaner was there. Dollar Bill was there. Fitz, Tommy, Joanne, and everybody was there. I took up an entire row. That was my deal with Jersey All Pro. You give me the tickets for my friends, that's my payment. I got no money for doing the shows. I got the tickets for my friends.
I mean, a lot of times those tickets were worth more than gold with the show, you know, like by
Let's
the
put
time,
it this way. It cost them more to give me the tickets than it would have cost them to pay me regular. But I saw him and we're standing there talking. He's like, dude, do you remember this shot? I'm like, yeah. And I see that Mac had signed it. And I said, give me the damn thing. So I took the picture from him. I walked in the back. I'm in the back maybe 3 minutes. And I come out with a Cheshire Cat shit-eating grin on my face. I walk right up to him, hand him the picture. He's like, what? I got Moff to sign the picture. He's like, dude, Moff's like, dude, where'd you get this? I said, my buddy Shane. He took that picture of Calm Before the Storm. He obviously saw Mac at another show and got it to sign there, but you weren't at that show. So he saw me. He showed me the picture. He's like, dude, I cannot wait to see Moff. I need to get this signed. I'm like, give me the damn thing. And I just went back and got it signed for him.
Nice.
Sweet stuff.
Yeah. So.
Man, sweet stuff.
Yeah, I remember Calm Before the Storm. Calm Before the Storm was the one in Bayonne,
Marist
right?
High School.
Bayonne,
Marist
yep.
High School.
Mhm.
That's where Danny
Marist.
broke his leg.
Yeah.
And if he was about a foot to the left, he would have took me out.
I was so angry at him that night. I was so angry at him.
Yeah,
I was so
no, that
angry. I was so angry at him because he had lost all the weight,
Mhm.
and we were all telling him that he better like take it slow and feel what he was like in the ring now with the less weight. And it was clear to see that he was still moving around like he had 300 pounds he was carrying with him. You know, and
Yeah.
I feel like that if 300-pound Danny had done that moonsault, he wouldn't have shot out as far.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely.
I will give him credit though in terms of that. I felt like, because I was saying ringside, I felt like I could literally like put my arm out and touch the ring. There was no. I will say there was no space for it. It should have been at least not done on that side.
Yeah.
It should have been more
That
towards
is-
the aisleway.
That as well is it was an issue. You're right. You're absolutely right. I try to block that whole incident out of my memory because it was so disgusting. His leg.
Trust
I was
me, I
right
know.
on top of him.
So was I. I ran around from my seat on the other corner as soon as I heard the impact. And I went in there and I started treating him. And that show is where I really, truly became Jersey All Pros medic.
Just ran right in there and did your thing.
Yep. And a
Really
friend of mine and the cleaners ended up being one of the EMTs who showed up to transport him to the hospital.
Huh. Ain't that
But,
something?
Small world.
Yeah.
Up
Then he was.
until earlier this year, I had never seen the true impact. I had seen the YouTube video from a fan on that side, but I had never seen the actual impact of him hitting the barricade
Right.
until I found it on japwvideo.net.
Wow.
And that was a brutal, brutal hit.
He snapped it.
Yep,
Yeah.
snapped
He
the
snapped it. Yeah.
Because I remember
Look at-
as soon as it happened, so I had like turned my like body like that, and I remember feeling the guardrail hit the back of my leg, and then I look up and I see him on the floor, like literally right next to me. And I'm like, oh shit! And I lean over and I'm like, Danny, you okay? He's like, no. I'm like, and I just froze. I was like dead frozen. That's when John and everybody started rushing in, and I'm like, oh man. And I forgot who else was there. It's a former referee for, I don't know if he's still there, but with WWE, they used
Sean
to
Bennett.
work Jersey. Yes.
Sean Bennett. Yeah, he came out of
Yeah,
the
he
crowd.
was there working with Teddy.
Yeah.
He was there working with Teddy.
Yeah, he was there that night, and yeah, he helped out as well.
Mm-hmm.
Was he with WWE at that time?
He was. Yeah.
Yeah, he
with
was.
WWE. he would come in. He would come up and he'd come up sometimes. Like
Mhm.
I believe he still comes up sometimes if he's in town and there's a show around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He pulls a William Regal.
Yeah, just like all of a sudden you look backstage, you're like, oh shit, Sean Bennett's here.
I had that same reaction when John got me a free ticket to Bloodsport, and when WrestleMania was here,
Oh
and
yeah.
it was at the White Eagle Hall in Jersey City, and I remember just watching the show and looking up, and then randomly there's William Regal and John Moxley, like literally a couple weeks before he leaves WWE. I'm like, oh shit, what the hell are they doing here?
I had that moment this past WrestleMania. WrestleMania is the time that those moments always happen. I just want to say, but I was at For the Culture, and Gabe and Jeremy Borash and some other guy that I didn't know were just like, we were all like right in front of each other, and I'm like, oh shit, hey Gabe, and he's like, hey Larry, and I'm like, what's up JB? And he's like hello, and like but I was just sort of like, wow, you're just around everybody.
Yeah. Talk
I'll
about
tell you-
somebody so underrated, JB, man. I love that dude.
Yeah.
He does a lot of things, bro. He does a lot of things.
Yeah. He did so much for like Impact, like right as he was leaving that company.
That's why he got quickly hired up by WWE.
Yep.
Larry, you and I had a lot of fun that weekend, WrestleMania 2019 weekend. We had a lot of fun at the Collective.
I feel like I was only at one show.
But we had a lot of fun at that show. You were at the Cluster
Blackcraft.
You did Blackcraft. That's right.
Yeah, that was the year that that was the year that my split with GCW became official. That was that was my first I wasn't doing Spring Break. That was the first year I didn't do Spring Break. That's the first year I didn't do Bloodsport. That was the first year where it was like, whoa, you're not doing this?
Yeah.
Yep, that was the first year. Yep. That was the first year. But and I wasn't supposed to be there, but the day before, Blackcraft was like, oh yeah, the British guy that commentates for us is not going to be there. I forget what his name is. And I'm like, oh, okay. And they're like, can you come? And I'm like, for commentary? And they're like, yeah, we just need someone and you already are kind of like on the roster. So we'd rather just cut a check to somebody that's already in payroll, back to Madison Square Garden type of thing. Because Blackcraft Wrestling was owned by Blackcraft Cult. So this was like real major money, I was like, okay. I was like, all right, yeah, I'll drive up. And they're like, one last thing, the show starts at midnight. And I'm like, oh God, like, drive up.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Oh God.
I remember thinking about going to that show, but there was Bloodsport before that, and then I think Insane Wrestling Society. I think it's that Montreal company that was doing a show down there at
ISP.
Yeah.
ISP, yeah.
And I was just like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it.
ISW.
Yeah, because like the next day I was going to Shimmer at like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, it's just so much wrestling. It's just a smorgasbord of wrestling.
It was, and it was so much fun. I like to say like the only show I didn't do that weekend was WrestleMania.
Yeah, so that's what happens. A lot of the times you do Mania and you see so much stuff that by the time WrestleMania comes around, you're like, brother, I'm tapped. I can't.
Yeah.
My eyes, my throat, my fucking heart, everything is like, I'm all tapped out.
Especially since
I did all 11 shows that weekend.
You're a maniac.
Yeah, no,
I worked
that is.
all 11 shows that weekend.
He almost got me into Joey Janela Spring Break, but I was like coming home. It was already midnight. Coming home from Supercard, G1 Supercard, and I was like, oh, I don't think I could stay up for more wrestling because it was like 6 hours that Ring of Honor New Japan show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, those things are brutal.
The one good thing out of Bloodsport for him. I hooked Cleaner up. I hooked him up big time.
He got me a picture with Minoru Suzuki, and I was
nice.
Like, yeah, because I couldn't. Because it was like 5 minutes into the show, or 5 minutes left in the show, and he comes to me and he's like, "Come here, I got a surprise for you." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Stay here." And I'm like, "Oh, I wish I could be watching the end of the match." Next thing I know, I see John come out and he's like, "This is my friend I was talking about," and it's Minoru fucking Suzuki. And I'm like, "Oh shit!" And yeah, no, my eyes lit up, and I was just like, "It's like, thank you, Mr. Suzuki," and we got a picture, and yeah, no, that's something I'm never gonna forget.
I saw Vinny before the show started. I went in the back. I found Minoru. I told him, Mr. Suzuki, I have a friend here. He is a huge New Japan fan. He is an absolute idol. He absolutely idolizes you.
Yep.
If after the show, would you be willing to take a picture and meet with him? He says, absolutely.
That's the
He is
funniest
such a
thing.
gentleman.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
the worst characters, like the meanest characters, are always the nicest people behind the.
Oh
behind the
God,
curtain.
yeah.
But then you gotta have the guys who are in character 24/7.
Yeah, like a certain
Like-
world heavyweight champion.
Exactly. Who's starting
MJF.
to turn,
Oh yeah.
but I'm
You
not
got any
really
stories of
buying
him?
the full turn yet.
Oh, I got the
I think it's
story
gonna
of
be a full turn for 2 people that night.
Mm.
there's a great Boulevard Bullies video
Mhm.
where Max is doing the barricades at ROH at the Hammerstein Ballroom. It was a show where he was helping out with ring crew. And it's a young MJF. Obviously, he's doing ring crew for ROH, so he wasn't shit just yet on the scene.
Do you mind
but
if I can ask which show? Do you remember which show that was?
I will. God, I'll link. I don't know. What show it was? Which show
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
that he was working? It was when Cody Rhodes first came and fought Jay Lethal.
Oh, okay. So that's yes, I know that. That's Final
And-
Battle
and-
2016.
And Bully Ray. Bully Ray came wasn't Bully Ray also at that?
That was a couple of months later. So
Alright,
the
so
Bully
maybe-
Ray is the one with the Hardys.
So then maybe I might be a little foggy, and I
Yeah.
gotta go back. But no, Max was
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Final Battle's December, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a December show.
Okay, yeah, so it was Final Battle.
Yep, yeah.
That's
But
insane.
yeah, he was working ring crew, and the best part about Max is that even though he was working ring crew, he still took time to let the Boulevard Bullies interview him and do the makings of MJF, or even all the way back then. He owns them in the little bit of time that they try to like put him on blast for being like, aren't you a wrestler? What are you doing carrying barricades around? Boulevard Bullies kind of like tongue in cheek that way, and Max totally just wipes the floor with him, and it's humorous, and I'll get that over to you, that particular one. I just don't know.
Okay.
It's on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I love those dudes because like I still remember that the one night where it was Tremont versus Anita, and then they just had everybody try to do the Onita scream.
Onita! Yeah, Sam Roberts. Yep. Heck yeah.
Yeah, that was a funny one.
The Boulevard Bullies are my boys, and shout out our podcast, Bullies versus the World, every Tuesday at 7 on YouTube. Streaming live.
Nice.
Yeah. So if y'all ever
Sweet.
want to kind of see me in this same environment, but talking things about deathmatch wrestling, tune in every Tuesday night at 7 to Boulevard Bullies versus the World.
Nice.
Yeah, I see
It's a
him
nice
here.
vlog.
Heck
Nice
yeah.
plug.
So, Larry, who are some of the guys that you always enjoyed announcing when they were coming to the ring? Who are your favorite wrestlers?
Well, first of all, the Jake the Snake of Getting Baked Ruckus. Because Ruckus has all of these rhyme couplets about smoking weed, and those are always really fun just to kind of embellish. They have a very much like a hip hop flavor to it, and not just Ruckus, the entire Blackout. Blackout was my way into CZW, was being the personal announcer for Blackout. So that's Eddie Kingston, that's the Black G's, that's Robbie Marino, that's Ruckus, Chrissy Rivera. Anytime that I can mob to the ring with the Blackout, it's always a good time for me. And that's why when I got inducted into the CZW Hall of Fame in 2018, I wanted all of Blackout around me, because I wanted to remind everyone that without them kind of embracing me as their personal announcer, then the ball wouldn't have gotten rolling for me to even be the CZW announcer. And that is definitely a foundation that Ruckus, as a mentor of mine, has always instilled in me, is that, if you recognize someone that is good, help put them on. Help put them on if you see them kind of like just doing their thing over in like Millville, New Jersey, and they don't know that they can go up the road to Philly and make a name for themselves in the 2300 arena. Put people on that are good. So Ruckus and Blackout, always some of my favorites to announce. The Ultraviolet Beast Masada has become one of my favorite names to announce. And I want to say one thing about my style of announcing. Every single wrestler's name is a song conceptually to me. It's a very short song, but it's a song nonetheless. And for Masada, because he is more of like a south of heaven, no touching from below. He's more of like that type of guy. I try to match that type of music with my introduction for him. So it's a real kind of like metal, dragon breathing fire intro for Masada. Is the way that I can kind of paint that picture for you.
I like that description.
Yeah, and he's become one of my favorites to announce. So Masada, Ruckus, trying to think of some other ones I really enjoy announcing. I mean, there have been some legendary ones. I got to announce Dick Togo of Kai and Tai. I got to announce, like so over the years, I've gotten to announce a lot of kind of like super legendary figures. So Dick Togo was one that I really had a lot of fun announcing. And you know what? I'm gonna leave it on this one. So Global Wars 2017, we did a tour with Ring of Honor that took us to Pittsburgh first, Columbus next. It was 4 cities. It was Pittsburgh, Columbus,
Buffalo, Toronto.
Thank you very much. Okay,
they always do that loop.
That's right. That loop. So that actually was my final loop with Ring of Honor. Coincidentally, my final show with Ring of Honor was, I think there was a set of TV tapings at the 2300 arena right after that tour. And that was where we said goodbye to Steve Corino and Adam Cole. They both were like, that was the end of their commitment. So that was like pretty much my goodbye too. But on that tour with Ring of Honor, there was one night that Bobby Cruz couldn't make it to the show. And I'll never forget this. Like, this was around the time when, like I said, I felt like they were just like giving me like a lot of busy work, but not really like putting me on, or not really like acknowledging that I was someone that could be on.
Yeah.
And like the show's getting closer and closer, and there's no announcer. And I'm there doing everything that I'm doing, running like the autograph sessions, or doing the live shit. And Delirious comes up to me and he's like, "Shit, Larry, we don't have an announcer." And he's like, "Can you do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, thinking in my mind, why did it take you this long to ask me? Like, I'm here. I'm here. Like, I don't understand. But in the moment, you can't really ask those questions. I was just like, yeah, I can do it. And then a very strange thing happened. Like, right before the show started, Delirious was like, "Just announced from back here." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, don't go out to the ring to announce, just like announce from backstage." And I was like, "Okay, whatever. Let's just get this done." And there was a match on the show that was like Cody Rhodes versus I don't know, Elgin, I don't know, Taven, and or something. I don't remember. And the reason I don't remember is because for that one match, like, Ian Riccaboni was the ring announcer, and like Ian got up from the table and like got into the ring and like announced. And then the rest of the matches, besides that Cody Rhodes match, everything was announced from behind the stage, and it was me. And this is the significance of this and why, and this long drawn out story of one of my favorite people to ever announce. So that was the first night that I got to announce Minoru Suzuki as a member of Suzuki Gun with Will Ospreay and whoever their third was. I can't really recall.
Mhm.
And I remember I was thinking I was really disappointed because here was this like legend from Japan, and like, not that I need to be seen or anything like that, but I kind of was like, it would be kind of cool for me to like be like, I don't know, photograph or captured sharing the spotlight with this legend doing what it is that I do and going by the name Larry Legend. So I was really disappointed. And then, like less than a year later, I got to announce Suzuki versus Riddle in the main event of Bloodsport 2, Matt Riddle's Bloodsport, down in Kenner, Louisiana. And I was like, just like, this like makes that worth it. Like the way
Yeah.
that I was feeling, where I was feeling
Yep.
like, why? Like where I was like, why are they doing this? Why is Ian out there announcing? He's not an announcer. Like, what's going on? But again, not having the time or like, you know, sort of like energy to even be like, yo, what's going on? We don't have time for that. Just do what you're told is basically like my mindset. So I'm doing it. And I remember just kind of being like, wow, it would have been cool if I actually got to like be in the ring to announce Minoru Suzuki. And then I got something better. I got to announce him in the main event and drive him and Rocky Romero and Mr. Shigebayushi to the hotel afterwards, just as a sidebar. And Kikitaru-san. Yeah, I got to drive the entire New Japan consulate to the hotel. And that was like,
that's
and that was
very
even way better than announcing him in the ring for Ring of Honor.
Yeah,
Who
yeah,
knew?
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Who knew that eventually I would get to that moment with him? But I did, and I relish it. And yeah. So Suzuki,
Wow.
Togo, Masada, and Ruckus, four names that I love announcing and look forward to hopefully doing it again, all of them, you know, someday.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Wow.
speaking of driving somebody somewhere,
Is that
Yes.
just crazy?
There was a show that Jersey All Pro did down at a church. I forget where it was, but
It was
Yeah.
that JAP TV
Oh
filming.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. What? Not
Jersey All Pro
Wildwood.
Worldwide.
Worldwide. Yes.
Worldwide, yep.
Yeah. And there was a little bit of a promo going on in the ring with Black Cheese.
Yeah.
And
I recall.
he made a comment, and it took 3 people to hold me back from getting in that ring and beating his ass.
It was
Where
a comment
he's
directed to
talking
me.
about he'll kill everybody.
No,
He'll
towards
he'll kick-
Brain.
towards me. He says he'll kick everybody in this building's ass. I'll even kill the medic. I was like, oh really? I started taking off my gear. I was ready. Vinny, Bobby, and you, all 3 of you are grabbing me like, no, John, you don't want to do this. I'm like, I don't care. I'll beat
Oh
his ass.
yeah. I
And then
do remember that. Yeah.
in the
gosh.
back, I go in the back to deal with somebody who said they got hurt somewhere. He comes up to me and says, dude, that was great. I loved how you played that.
That's awesome. You know, I just spoke to the Black G's today. You know, he's
How's he
battling.
doing?
So we all know he's battling a type of cancer. He said that his health is taking a turn for the better.
Oh,
You know,
good.
so he's
Thank
on the
God.
road to
hear it.
recovery. Yeah, but you know what?
Thank God.
I had no doubts. I had no doubts. Because the outcrying of or outpouring of love and support, sometimes just that alone can turn it around. Look at Necro. Look
Yeah.
at Necro.
Yeah.
We all thought he had one foot in the grave.
How's
Yeah.
he doing?
Great.
He's
That's
wrestling.
good.
He's healthy as a
Again?
lark. Yeah, XPW.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
I
I've
remember
seen-
him doing the show at the one show during the collective, and he said that was going to be one of his last shows.
Yeah, because he was almost dead back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god. God.
but
Yeah,
he's alive
he
now.
got-
You know, he's alive and well. He just turned 50.
Wow.
Good for him.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that Necro Butcher is only 2 years older than I am?
Yep.
And I
50
am.
years old. Yep.
Wow.
It's a lifestyle, brother. I'm the same
Yeah.
age as Nick Cage. You
Oh,
know,
wow. Yeah.
Nick Cage and I are the same exact age.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't be able to tell it, man. I would not be able to tell it.
It's a lifestyle. You know, I chose to work my pipes, and you know, Necro and Nikki, they both decided to do a very violent style of performance entertainment sports that takes its toll and visibly can show.
Yeah.
Now listen, I hate to cut this short, but we've been about an hour into this thing, and I'm
No, yeah.
wondering, do you guys have anything else specific you want to ask me? Because I'm here for you.
Oh, wait a second.
And
I
I'm
was-
an
hold
open
on.
book.
Hang on.
I
I
just saw-
want to show you. This is a picture I got at the collective.
Nice.
Yeah. Look at him.
Yeah. That was when he wasn't doing so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't doing
Glad
so
to hear
good
he's
right
doing
there. Yeah. Oh, he's fat. I mean, compared to that, he's fat.
Good.
You
And
know.
compared to that,
Yeah.
I'm thin.
Hey, indeed. You guys both you flip flop.
Yeah, they trade
He
weights.
gained the weight I lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, you trade.
You
over.
talked about XPW. What's it like? You know, the whole revival of that we thought was a brand that was dead. You know, and then especially
Yeah.
with the dark side of the ring, with all the stories that come out about XPW, what's it been like? You know, part of the
it's
revival.
It's certainly not Christy Mist. Okay, it's not that era. It's not Angel. You know, that era over there. But I'll tell you, and this might just because there are so many old CZW guys involved in it, and I mean
Mhm.
Cologne, Necro, Drake Younger. Well, Drake not anymore, but for ever since I've been involved, Drake was involved. Myself, Lucky 13. There are so many CZW guys, Masada, that are involved in XPW, Arrow Boy, that it has a lot of the old CZW in the 2300 arena vibe.
Mm.
In the
Oh.
sense also that you can tell that nobody wants their match to be the like least favorite match of the night, if you know what I mean. Everybody is going out there to hit a home run because they know that match after them is going to try to hit a home run, and they know that the match after that match is going to try to hit a home run, and they do not want to be the match to bunt or to just get at base, you know, or you know what I'm saying. Everybody is swinging for the fences, and because of that, and because I acknowledge that as an announcer, you know that I ring hell's bells for every single match and just sort of give them the goosebumps that they need to go out there and deliver. And so far, so fucking good.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
But certainly not like the stories that I've heard of the old XPW.
Yeah. The dark
You know,
side of
Vic-
the ring episode.
Vic Grimes trying to be murdered, you know?
Yep. Yeah, there's so many stories about the old XPW, and like you know the whole ECW invasion, the stories about murder and revenge, and then being having shows at the same time as an adult film company was making videos.
Oh yeah.
That was a whole crazy time.
Yep. And it's not like that anymore, but the vibes are very much the same of when I first joined CZW, and just everybody really coming there with their working boots on. So with that said, we've had some pretty controversial things happen. They tried to reintroduce G-Raver. Didn't go well. But I mean, XPW is all about giving people that we've canceled second chances. So
yeah,
I am about a company that stands for that, as opposed to a company that's trying to end other people's careers. And we all know that some of the petty princesses out there go out of their way to try to cancel others or cancel full productions just because somebody doo-dooed in their Cheerios. Well, you know, I'm behind a company that's willing to give second chances and help people get second chances, because who are we to judge, lest we ourselves be judged?
Exactly.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So anything else y'all got for me?
Yeah, before we cut this off, Larry, I know you say you don't perform on demand, but I sent you a request earlier today. If you
Indeed, you did.
If you could take care of that, my friend, I would be greatly appreciative.
Now,
Before you
said,
take care of it, did you get the money?
No. This is what we call in the old school an ask. All right. This is an ask. All right. All right. Now, you will have to remind me what I'm supposed to say, because I only got it today while I was at work. I do work a 9 to 5. Tell me again what I'm saying.
Basically, we are the World Podcast Triples champions. And
Trios
champions. Go
no,
Trios.
Triples.
The World Podcast Triples champions.
Yeah.
And then what do you want me to?
The cleaner and the brain.
Dollar Bill, the cleaner, and the brain.
Yes.
The World Podcast Triples champions. Dollar Bill, the cleaner, and the brain.
Yes.
All right. It'll take 5 seconds and I'll do it.
Okay.
Do you want me to say you're listening to, or this is, or like, what do you want me to say? Like,
here are your winners.
Okay. Okay. So it's if I'm announcing y'all as the winners.
Just like we won a match.
Here are your winners, the World Podcast Triples champs, Dollar Bill. I forgot what I'm supposed to say. I'm sorry.
We recreated a viral moment.
Just like The Price is Right. Give it to me. Here are your winners, the World Triples Podcast champions, Dollar Bill, the cleaner, and the brain. All right, I'm ready. All right. Here are your winners, the World Podcast Triples champions, Dollar Bill, the cleaner, and the brain.
Oh, that was
wonderful.
Brother.
My dreams came true.
Thank you very much.
That's the first time we got announced as a winner.
Not everybody gets that. Everybody gets that.
The check will be in the mail.
Pish posh. That's an ask. I gotcha.
Cash app.
Right on. All right, thanks for having me. I'm just tired. I work all day.
I don't blame you at all.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, brother. It's always good to see you. Always good to talk to you.
I'm glad we got it done.
I'm glad too. I got edges afterwards. That's why it's gonna be long.
Gentlemen, as always, until next week. Too sweet.